Beyond the Gates, spoilers full. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a beautifully chaotic day in the soap world, and we have so much to unpack about the absolute madness unfolding on our screens. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let us dive straight into the deep end of the drama because things are getting wild. So let's just get right into it because I have been staring at these new Beyond the Gates spoilers for the last hour and my head is absolutely spinning. I mean, seriously spinning. We need to talk about Chelsea and Catherine Cat Richardson. Because apparently right in the middle of all the absolute chaos happening in Fairmont Crest right now, these two have decided that this is the perfect time to drop their newest Chelsea Cat handbag designs. And not just any designs. The spoilers are calling them bold and scandalous. Which, okay, sure. But honestly, what is even going on in their heads right now? And I just have to stop and ask the obvious question here. What on earth is Kat doing focusing on scandalous handbags when she is literally in the crosshairs of Hayley Hamilton? Like we all know, Kat has been digging into the disappearance of Lynette Wise. She has been poking around, asking questions, getting updates from Chelsea, and basically painting a giant target on her own back. Hayley is a woman who has been slowly poisoning her own husband Bill since last October. She is dangerous. She is unhinged. And Kat is just out here planning a fashion launch. It feels so disconnected but also so perfectly Kat. She always thinks she can juggle a million chaotic things at once. But this time I really think she is in over her head. But okay, let's put Kat's terrible survival instincts aside for a second and talk about this Chelsea Cat launch. The spoilers say the designs are bold and scandalous. And you guys know how much I love a good fashion storyline on this show. But what does scandalous even mean in the context of a handbag? Are they using some controversial material? Is the marketing campaign completely out of pocket? Maybe the bags are named after local scandals. Can you imagine a bag named the Elevator Tornado? Okay, maybe I'm being too harsh with that joke, but you get what I mean. The writers love to throw in these buzzwords like scandalous just to get us talking. And apparently it is going to work because the spoilers are heavily hinting at some major unwanted social media attention. Social media storylines on this show are always a bit of a mess. Let's be real. They always show characters staring in horror at their phones while some generic notification sound pings over and over again. But this time it feels different because unwanted attention is the absolute last thing Chelsea needs right now. So here's where the story gets really dark. And honestly, a bit heavy. Because while Kat is busy playing amateur detective and fashion mogul, Chelsea is struggling. The spoilers are telling us that Chelsea is going to be haunted by her past. Specifically, she is dealing with some deeply unresolved trauma. And if you have been watching this show for a while, you know exactly what trauma they are talking about. Allison. Just saying the name makes me shudder. Allison. 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 What a completely terrifying character. For those of you who might be newer or maybe just blocked out that incredibly dark storyline because it was so intense, Allison is Chelsea's ex-girlfriend. But she isn't just an ex. She is the ex who completely lost her mind and literally kidnapped Chelsea. It was one of the most stressful storylines we have ever had to sit through. And I remember watching those episodes last year and just feeling so bad for Chelsea because she really thought she had found love. She thought Allison was this amazing supportive partner. And then the mask slipped. The control started, the isolation started. And before we knew it, Chelsea was being held against her will by the woman she loved. It was a classic psychological thriller plot dropped right into the middle of our soap, and it worked so well because the actress playing Allison was just so incredibly creepy. But the thing is, Chelsea never really dealt with that trauma. Not properly. She got rescued, Allison was dealt with, and then Chelsea just threw herself back into work. She threw herself into Chelsea Cat. She threw herself into helping Cat with her drama. She just kept moving. And as anyone who knows anything about trauma will tell you, you cannot outrun it forever. Eventually, your brain forces you to stop and process it. And that is exactly what seems to be happening now. The stress of this bold and scandalous launch, the unwanted social media attention, the pressure of everyone looking at her, it is acting as a massive trigger. The fans on social media have been saying for months that Chelsea needs therapy, not a new handbag line. And honestly, they are so right. So, the spoilers are teasing that Chelsea is going to experience a scary event next week. A really scary event, and my mind immediately goes to a million different places. Is it a hallucination? Is she going to see Allison in a crowd of people at the launch party? You know, the writers love a good hallucination scene. The camera gets all blurry, the music gets all distorted, and suddenly the villain is standing right there, but then someone taps the character on the shoulder, and they turn back, and the villain is gone. It is a classic trope. But what if it isn't a hallucination? What if Allison is actually back? The prompt for next week literally asks, will Allison return immediately and harm Chelsea? And this is where I need to just rant for a second because I am so conflicted about this. On one hand, bringing Allison back right now would be an incredible shock to the system. The canvas is already so crowded with the Bill and Haley poisoning plot, Danny's massive Freudian slip calling Bill her husband, Andre dealing with his own mystery stalker, and Joey being incredibly paranoid about Heather. Adding a literal kidnapper back into the mix would just blow the roof off of Fairmont Crest. But on the other hand, is it too soon? Did Allison escape? Was she released? How does someone who kidnapped their girlfriend just walk back into town? I know. I know. It's a soap opera. People get away with literal murder all the time. But still, the logistics of it are wild. If we look at how the writers usually pace things, I don't think Allison is going to just kick the door down and immediately harm Chelsea. That is not Allison's style. Allison is a psychological tormentor. She likes to play with her food before she eats it. If she is back, she is going to start small. Maybe she is the one driving the unwanted social media attention. Think about it. What better way to destabilize Chelsea than to use a bunch of fake accounts to ruin her big scandalous bag launch? Allison could be sitting in some dark motel room, just typing away, leaving horrible comments, sending cryptic messages that would perfectly tie the fashion storyline into the trauma storyline. And then there is the scary event next week. I am betting it is a physical item, something left in Chelsea's office, a token from their past, something only Allison would know about. You know the kind of scene I am talking about. Chelsea walks into the Chelsea Cat design studio. It is late at night, the lights are dim. She goes to her desk, and sitting right there on top of the new scandalous handbag prototypes is a single item. A flower, a piece of jewelry, a photograph, something that makes Chelsea's blood run absolutely cold. Because if Allison just jumps out of a closet with a knife, it is over too fast. The writers want to milk this for all the Emmy reels they can get. They want to show Chelsea unraveling. They want to show Kat realizing that while she was busy fighting Haley over Lynette Wise, she completely missed that her business partner was being stalked by a psycho ex-girlfriend. And honestly, Kat needs a wake-up call. I love Kat, I really do. But she is so reckless. She is out here confronting Leslie, confronting Bill, confronting Haley. She thinks she is invincible. But if Allison comes back and targets Chelsea, Kat is going to feel so incredibly guilty. Because Kat is the one who pushed for this big, bold, scandalous launch. Kat is the one who wanted the attention. And that attention might have just served as a beacon to call Allison back home. Let's talk about the trauma aspect a bit more because I think this is really important. The show has been doing a decent job lately of showing how characters deal with the aftermath of terrible things. We see Danny completely trauma bonded to Bill after everything they went through, making that huge slip of the tongue in front of Anita, Vernon, and Nicole. We see Eva Thomas struggling with her relationship with Isaiah after her organ transplant. The show is acknowledging that trauma leaves scars. So for Chelsea, this unresolved trauma is going to be messy. It is going to be so messy. I can already see the scenes where she tries to hide it from Kat. She will be shaking, she will be looking over her shoulder, but when Kat asks if she is okay, Chelsea will just put on a fake smile and say she is just tired from the launch. Why do characters always do this? Why do they never just say, hey, I think my kidnapper ex-girlfriend is stalking me again? It is so frustrating to watch, but it is also exactly what traumatized people do. They don't want to be a burden. They want to believe they are crazy, rather than believe the nightmare is starting all over again. And maybe I am getting ahead of myself. Maybe I am reading too much into the spoilers. Maybe the scary event next week is just a really aggressive fashion critic. Okay, no, that sounded ridiculous even as I typed it. This is beyond the gates. It is never just a fashion critic. It is always a stalker, a murderer, or a secret twin. But let's circle back to the main question. Will Allison return immediately and harm Chelsea? My official prediction, as someone who has been watching this show for way too long and has seen every trick these writers have up their sleeves, is no. She will not harm her immediately. The physical harm is not the point right now. The psychological harm is. Allison wants to break Chelsea down first. She wants to isolate her. If Allison attacks Chelsea right now, Kat will call the police, Joey Armstrong will probably send his casino goons after her, and the whole town will rally around Chelsea. Allison doesn't want that. Allison wants Chelsea all to herself. So she is going to use this scandalous Chelsea Cat launch to her advantage. She is going to use the social media backlash to make Chelsea feel like the whole world hates her. She is going to make Chelsea paranoid. She is going to make Chelsea push Kat away. Because if Chelsea is isolated, if Chelsea feels like she has no one else to turn to, that is when Allison will strike. And let's be real, the timing of this is just impeccable. The entire town of Fairmont Crest is completely distracted. Bill is in the hospital fighting for his life against Haley's slow-acting poison. Caroline is busy playing a deadly game of cat and mouse with Haley. Naomi and Tomas are at each other's throats, trying to take over the law firm. Andre is having secret meetings with Ted about his own mysterious stalker. Joey is fighting with Heather and Vernon. Literally everyone who could potentially help Chelsea is currently drowning in their own massive drama. It is the perfect storm. It is exactly the kind of setup a predator like Allison would wait for. And I just have to say, I am so nervous for Chelsea. I know she is a fictional character, but you get attached, you know? You watch these people go through hell. You watch them rebuild their lives. And you just want them to have a win. Chelsea launching this new line with Kat was supposed to be her win. It was supposed to be her taking her power back. And instead, it is turning into a horror movie. I am also really curious to see how Kat handles this once she figures it out. Because Kat is fierce. Kat does not back down. If Kat finds out that Allison is messing with Chelsea again, Kat might just drop the whole Lynette Wise investigation and go full vigilante on Allison. And can you imagine a showdown between Kat Richardson and Allison? That would be epic. But it would also be incredibly dangerous. Because Allison has nothing to lose, and Kat has everything to lose. So, as we head into next week, I think we need to brace ourselves. The contrast between the bright, glamorous world of the Chelsea Kat fashion launch and the dark, terrifying reality of Chelsea's PTSD is going to be jarring. We are going to see a lot of fake smiles for the cameras, followed by private moments of absolute terror. And I really hope the writers handle this with care. Unresolved trauma is a heavy topic. Kidnapping and abuse are heavy topics. They need to show Chelsea's struggle authentically, without just using it for cheap shock value. Although, considering this is the same show that has Danny calling her ex-husband her current husband in front of her entire family in the middle of a hospital waiting room, maybe I shouldn't hold my breath for subtle nuance. But I will definitely be watching. I will be watching every single episode, probably yelling at my screen, telling Chelsea to look behind her, telling Kat to put down the handbag sketches and pay attention to her friend. What do you guys think? Do you think Allison is actually the one behind the social media attention? Do you think she is going to make a physical appearance next week? Or is it just going to be a slow burn stalker situation? And seriously, what do you think a scandalous handbag even looks like? Let me know in the comments because I am honestly losing my mind trying to figure out how all these pieces fit together. It is going to be a long, stressful week in Fairmont Crest, and I am here for every single messy, chaotic, terrifying second of it. Stay safe out there, keep your friends close, and maybe avoid launching any scandalous business ventures if you have a psycho ex-girlfriend on the loose. Just a thought,